Rain hammered the canopy, turning the forest floor into a treacherous, sucking mire. Ethan, Mia, Lucas, Sarah, and Jay pushed through the dense brush, their boots sliding in the thickening mud. Ethan held his phone high, searching for a signal, but the screen remained a frozen, useless void. He shoved it into his pocket and kept moving. Sarah wiped water from her face, her breath hitching as she stared into the impenetrable wall of trees. "This is a bad idea," she muttered, her voice barely audible over the downpour. Jay pushed past her, his eyes locked on a break in the foliage ahead. "Relax," he said, his voice tight. "It is just one night." Then, the trees parted. A cabin emerged from the gloom, its timber gray and warped, leaning as if sinking into the earth. Ethan stepped onto the porch, the wood groaning under his weight. He shoved the door open. It gave a long, metallic screech that echoed deep into the woods. Inside, the air tasted of wet dust and decay. Mia swept her flashlight beam across the room, revealing an empty space and a dark doorway leading to the back. On the wall, a row of rusty iron hooks swayed in the draft. Lucas clicked his light off. No electricity, no signal. The silence in the cabin was heavier than the storm outside. It pressed against their eardrums, thick and expectant. Then, it began. Knock. The sound was sharp, rhythmic, and impossibly close. It came from the front door. The group froze, every muscle in the room locking into place. Ethan took a slow, deliberate step toward the entrance. He pressed his ear against the wood, his knuckles white as he gripped the frame. "Wind," he whispered, though the air outside had gone deathly still. There was no breeze to rattle the timber. The door swung open on its own, moving with a fluid, unnatural grace. Beyond the threshold, there was no porch, no forest, only a wall of absolute, suffocating darkness. Jay stepped forward, his jaw set in a hard line. "Okay, that is not funny," he shouted into the void. He reached out, fingers closing around the handle to pull the door shut. He never finished the motion. Jay vanished into the blackness without a sound. The door slammed shut, the latch clicking into place with a final, metallic snap. The knocking returned, but it had moved. Knock, knock, knock. It echoed from the bedroom. The door creaked open, spilling a thick, oily darkness into the main room. A figure emerged. It stood 7 feet tall, its limbs bending at impossible, jagged angles. Its head was bowed, hidden under a curtain of wet, matted hair. Then, the creature spoke. It was Jay's voice that emerged from its throat. "Help. Me." The sound was a jagged mimicry. Mia screamed, a high, thin sound that died in her throat. Lucas grabbed a heavy, broken chair leg and swung it with all his might. The creature moved in a blur, its long fingers wrapped around Lucas's throat. There was a sickening snap, and Lucas fell. Ethan roared and charged, hoping to catch the thing off guard. It did not fight back. It simply caught him. Beneath the translucent surface, dozens of human faces writhed. Ethan was pulled into the creature's chest. He was part of the hunger. Sarah and Mia scrambled backward, their heels catching on the uneven floorboards. They pressed their backs against the cabin wall, but the wood felt wrong. "It was warm. It pulsed." "It is not letting us leave," Mia whispered, her voice a thin, broken thread. The creature turned its head, its movements slow, patient, and predatory. It did not need to rush. The cabin itself was the trap. Behind the girls, the wooden wall began to bulge. The thick planks stretched and cracked, the sound of splintering timber filling the room. A hollow space opened up within the wall, revealing a mass of reaching, pale hands. They clawed at the air, hundreds of fingers grasping for purchase. Sarah was dragged into the wall first. She shrieked, her fingers digging into the floorboards until her nails tore and blood slicked the wood. Mia lunged for the door, but the floor beneath her shifted. She fell, her nails scraping deep jagged grooves into the wood as she was hauled toward the wall. Then, the wall opened again. A dozen pale hands locked onto her wrists, her ankles, her throat. She was yanked into the darkness. The planks sealed tight. By morning, the rain had ceased. The jungle returned to its oppressive, heavy silence, the canopy dripping with the remnants of the storm. The cabin stood still, its timber gray and weathered, the walls smooth and undisturbed as if no one had ever stepped across the threshold. Inside, the air was stagnant, heavy with the scent of wet dust. Then, a faint, rhythmic scratching sound began to vibrate through the timber, a slow, deliberate cadence that defied the stillness of the room. It was not the wind. It was not the settling of the foundation. From deep within the walls, where the wood pulsed with a hidden, trapped life, 5 distinct voices began to whisper in perfect, chilling unison. Knock, knock, knock. The cycle had begun again, and the cabin waited for the next set of footsteps.